Will the Chinese yuan replace the dollar as the world's most important currency? Beijing is working hard to make that happen.
Welcome to Money Matters. My name is Jin. I'm broadcasting from the US in Mexico. Welcome to the show. As we start our program, we're gonna talk about money matters, financial assets, trading, online shares, and so on, entrepreneurship, businesses, and everything you want to hear to gain the market or to launch yourself in a business world. Today we are talking about the market, the currency market between the yuan of Chinese, the currency of China, and the US dollars, which is facing a very brutal competition from China. Now, the problem of world reserve currency is getting more higher in competition as Chinese speed up their way to market in order to compete against the dollar. Chinese government have signed partnership with different other countries not to do trading anymore in dollars, instead to do the currency in yuan. This is making US uncomfortable as it looks to keep the dollar being a dominant currency in the global market. However, the story relayed from Yahoo Finance: how do currency achieve reserve status? Achieving reserve status is not a formal process. Instead, it's like winning popularity. The most popular currency of the global trade and cross-border currency emerged to be the de facto reserve currency, which stems from the popularity of the currency, which is also based on the security and the resilience of the issuing country. Since 1450, there have been 6 major reserve currency periods. If you didn't know, historically, the Portugal currency dominated the global reserve until 1530, when Spain became so stronger. Currencies issued by the Netherlands and France dominated world trade for much in the 17th century and the 18th century, but the emergence of British Empire made the pound sterling the reserve currency until the end of the First World War. So, after the First World War and then the Second World War and then the end of the Second War, the American came out as the winner of the World War, and eventually as the dollar became the global reserve currency. The US dollar displaced the pound just as American gained economic superiority over Britain. More than 75 of the global transactions have been completed in the US dollar since 2008. The dollar also accounts for more than 60% of foreign debt issuance and 59% of the global central bank reserve. Although the dollar's grip on all those markets and instruments has been gradually declining in recent years, no other currency ever comes closer to those levels. The Chinese yuan certainly isn't a viable alternative, but geopolitical and macroeconomic trends support the rise of this yuan currency. China's plan: last year, Chinese leader made it clear that they wanted to boost the yuan profile as a reserve currency. China economy and trade flows are largely enough to support such a move. However, the country now needs to convince foreign central bankers to start holding the Chinese yuan, the principal unity of the yuan, in reserve. In July 22, the China's Bank of China announced a collaboration with 5 nations and the Bank of International Settlement to achieve this. China, along with Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Chile, would each contribute 15 billion yuan, about 2.2 billion, to yuan liquidity arrangement. Meanwhile, the Chinese yuan has already become a de facto reserve currency in Russia. Russia leadership turned to China after facing sanctions from the West due to its invasion of Ukraine. Now 17% of Russia's foreign reserves are denominated in yuan. The yuan is also the third most demanded currency on the Moscow exchange market. All those partnerships become stronger, the yuan status as a reserve currency could be further entrenched. This is fearful for the American system. If Russia reserve currency yuan gains the market and trust, the other countries might follow the suit. The global impact economists, including Barry Arnchigrin of the University of California, Berkeley, and Camille Merkel of France Central Bank, published a paper analyzing the yuan potentially as a reserve currency. The researcher argued that replacing the dollar is not going to be easy. However, they found evidence that yuan reserves were steadily increasing in countries that had tighter trade relationship with China. The growing influence could make the yuan an alternative to the US dollar in a multipolar world. In other words, China might chip away at the dollar influence over time. The study authors said the yuan current position was similar to US dollar in 1950s. Based on that comment, it could be just a few decades before the yuan gains parity. As the Third World War is looming and Ukraine is fighting Ukraine with NATO and Russia, Money Matters is interested into who is going to be or which currency is going to be the global reserve for the global commerce